Hashtag the night shift truth. Asterisk a gentle pause asterisk. Margaret Chen had built her empire from nothing. At 62, she was the CEO of Riverside Technologies, a company worth $3 billion. She'd started in a small apartment 40 years ago, writing code on a second-hand computer, fueled by instant coffee and determination. Asterisk breathing room asterisk. People called her brilliant. Demanding. Fair but exacting. What they didn't know was that Margaret still remembered what it felt like to be invisible. To work nights cleaning offices while taking community college classes during the day. She'd been there once, long ago, before the patents and the success. Asterisk a warm pause asterisk. Lately, she'd been worried. Small things had been disappearing from the executive floor. Nothing valuable, a coffee mug, some pens, a framed photo from someone's desk. But it troubled her. She trusted her team, had built a culture of respect and integrity. The thought that someone might be taking advantage of that trust kept her awake at night. Asterisk gentle transition asterisk. The night custodian on her floor was a man named Daniel Torres. 57 years old, quiet, always nodded politely when they passed in the hallways during her late work sessions. Margaret knew from HR files that he was a widower, had worked for the company for 11 years. Spotless record. 2 grown sons. But still, the missing items bothered her. Asterisk a moment of reflection asterisk. One Thursday evening, Margaret made a decision. She would stay late, pretend to fall asleep at her desk, and see what happened. It felt deceptive, and she didn't like that. But she needed to know the truth, one way or another. Asterisk natural pause asterisk. She worked until 8, then dimmed the lights in her corner office. She arranged herself in her chair, head resting on folded arms on the desk, breathing slowly and evenly. The door was slightly ajar, as she sometimes left it. Around 9:30, she heard the soft sound of Daniel's cleaning cart in the hallway. The gentle knock on her door frame. A pause. Then footsteps entering. Asterisk a breath asterisk. Margaret kept her breathing steady, her body still. She heard Daniel moving quietly around the office, emptying the small waste bin, the soft spray of cleaning solution on the glass coffee table. Everything normal. Professional. Then the footsteps came closer. Stopped right beside her desk. Asterisk warm, steady pacing asterisk. Margaret's heart beat faster. This was it. This was the moment she'd been waiting for, even though she dreaded what she might learn. She felt something being draped gently over her shoulders. The soft weight of fabric. Her suit jacket, which had been hanging on the back of the office door. Asterisk a pause filled with emotion asterisk. Daniel's voice, barely above a whisper. Nights are getting colder, Ms. Chen. She heard him move away, heard the slight adjustment as he turned off the desk lamp that had been shining near her face, leaving only the soft glow of the city lights through the window. Then more quiet sounds. He was still cleaning, but even more carefully now, trying not to disturb her. Asterisk let the moment breathe asterisk. A few minutes later, she heard something else. Paper rustling. She risked opening her eyes the tiniest bit, just enough to see through her lashes. Daniel was at the small side table where she always left her dinner when she worked late. She'd been too tired to eat the sandwich she'd ordered, had left it wrapped on the table hours ago. He was writing something on a sticky note. Asterisk emotional warmth asterisk. When he finally left, pulling the door almost closed behind him, Margaret sat up slowly. Her throat tight with unexpected emotion. She walked to the side table. The sandwich was still there, but next to it was the sticky note in careful handwriting. Please remember to eat. You work too hard. DT. Beside the note was a banana from Daniel's own lunch bag and a packet of peanut butter crackers. Asterisk gentle pacing asterisk. Margaret stood there in the dim office, her jacket still around her shoulders, staring at that simple note. She thought of all the evenings she'd worked late, never quite noticing the small kindnesses. The way her office was always a little warmer than the others, Daniel must have been adjusting the thermostat. The way her favorite coffee mug was always clean and waiting on her desk each morning, even when she'd left it unwashed the night before. A tender moment. She'd been testing him, looking for a thief. And instead, she'd discovered a guardian. The next morning, Margaret did something she'd never done before. She arrived at 6 a.m. and waited in the lobby for Daniel's shift to end. When he came through, tired but walking with quiet dignity, she approached him. He looked surprised, worried even. "Mr. Torres, could I speak with you for a moment?" Warmth in the voice. They sat in the empty cafeteria. Margaret didn't mention the test, the pretending. Instead, she asked about his life. She learned that his wife had passed 3 years ago from cancer. That he worked nights so he could visit her grave every morning on the way home, when the cemetery was quiet and peaceful. That his 2 sons both worked in construction, good men with families of their own. She learned that he'd once been a teacher, had loved it, but the pay wasn't enough when medical bills came. That he'd taken the night custodian job for the health insurance, stayed for the stability. "I noticed you leave food sometimes," Daniel said gently. "Working too hard, not taking care of yourself." "My wife, Rosa, she used to say that success means nothing if you forget to live." Closing warmth. Margaret felt tears threaten. When was the last time someone had simply cared about her well-being, not her business decisions or stock prices? "Mr. Torres, Daniel, I'd like to offer you something. We have an opening in our facilities management office. Day shift. Supervising building operations. Better pay. And I'd like you to consider joining our employee wellness committee. We need people who understand what caring really means." Final gentle pause. Daniel's eyes widened, then filled with tears of his own. The missing items, it turned out, had been taken by a summer intern who was eventually caught. But that was just a footnote now. What mattered was the lesson Margaret learned that night. That sometimes when we test people, we are really testing ourselves. That kindness doesn't announce itself with fanfare. That the measure of a person isn't in their title or their salary, but in what they do when they think no one is watching. A breath. Daniel Torres now runs Riverside Technology's community giving program. And every evening before Margaret leaves, earlier now, at reasonable hours, she finds a small sticky note on her desk: "Don't forget to live today." She never does. Character count, 5998.